All right. Hello, everyone. I'm here. My name is Gerald Vernon. I'm the president of the Chicago Firearms Safety Association, and I'm here to urge everyone to call their state senators and their state representatives and ask them to support House Bill 148. House Bill 148 is the proposed concealed carry bill here in Illinois. If passed, this would allow private law-abiding citizens to be able to legally carry a gun in order to defend themselves and their families. We feel that this is extremely important for a number of reasons. Number one, Illinois and Wisconsin are the only two states in the entire nation that does not have a concealed carry law in place. Wisconsin just elected a governor in November of 2010 who has said that he will sign their concealed carry bill. They tried to have one passed 2 times before, but the former governor vetoed it, and as a result, he was booted out. So before 2011 is up, Illinois, unless this is passed this year, will be the only state in the country that does not have a concealed carry provision on the books. If you go to the Illinois State Police website, they urge women who are attacked by rapists to defend themselves using car keys, rat tail combs, fingernail files, or failing those, to use a tongue depressor to make themselves throw up so that they will be repugnant to the rapist. My question is, if those devices are good enough for the protection of the women in Illinois, then why don't the state police carry fingernail files, rat tail combs, car keys, and tongue depressors in their holsters instead of guns, since that's supposed to be such an effective means of self-defense? It's ridiculous. And when you hear it in that context, you can easily see how ridiculous it sounds. But if it's ridiculous for the police, why does it make sense for your mother, your daughter, your wife, your sister, the important women to you in your life? We need this law passed for a variety of reasons. First and foremost is simply because it's a constitutional right. The Second Amendment says we have the right to keep and bear arms. Keep means to own or have. Bear means to have with you. This is a right. It's not a privilege. And these rights have been denied us through these draconian laws. And so we are urging people to contact their state senators and representatives to have and urge them to put this law in place. If you are not sure who your state senator or representative is, call the Board of Election Commissioners at 312-269-7900. Again, that is 312-269-7900. Give them your home address. Tell them you're trying to, you want to contact your state senator and representative, and based on where you live will determine whose district you live in. We strongly urge you to call their office and to urge them to pass House Bill 148. If this bill passes, this would allow average law-abiding citizen with the proper training. There would be a training requirement, both a classroom as well as a range training requirement. There would be a criminal background check, and there would also be a mental health illness background check. And as long as those two checks prove that that person has a clean background, then the state would be required to issue a permit to that individual, over 21 years, of course. We say this for a number of reasons. Number one, the police, contrary to popular opinion, are not responsible for your individual safety and security. I know that is one of the most common myths in this country, but the reality is that the police are not responsible for your individual safety and security. I would challenge anyone to go and look at what's called the Warren case out of Washington, D.C. Warren case in 1972. That case clearly shows that the police are not responsible. This was a case where this woman shared a home with two other women. Two guys broke through a sliding glass door and attacked a woman on the first floor. The two women upstairs heard it, called the police, went and hid. When the police came the first time, they rang the doorbell, but since the home invaders wouldn't let the woman answer the door, they just turned around and left. They never even checked the back door to see if it had been kicked in. A few minutes later, the women called the police a second time, and when they thought that, when they no longer heard the woman downstairs screaming, they thought the police had got there. So they went downstairs only to be accosted by these men themselves. These women were raped for a period of 14 hours. Raped, forced to do sexual things with each other, forced to submit to the sexual demands of the rapists, etc., etc. And when this was all over with, they sued the Washington, D.C. Police Department for failing to respond to the 911 calls. They won the initial case, but the case was overturned in appeal. And the courts ruled that the police are not responsible for your individual safety and security. You are. That the police have a general duty to protect the general public, but no specific duty to protect any specific individual. So unless they just happen to be there at the moment that you are being attacked, you are on your own. And if you can't stop that person from attacking you, then you're going to be forced to submit to whatever it is that they feel like doing to you. Period. Dot. Another reason that we want to have this law in place is because people simply deserve to have a self-defense is a human right. Self-defense is a human right. Every human being, every living entity has a right to defend itself to the best of its ability. As I said earlier, even in a case where the police happen to be there when you are being attacked, as was the case with Finger High School student Darian Albert in September of 2009, he was beaten to death right across the street from two police officers who watched him get murdered, and what they did was to pick up the mic and call for backup. They did not get out of their car, they did not lift one finger to help this individual, and they did not break the law. What they did was in keeping with Chicago Police Department policy for what they call officer safety. In other words, he's not going to risk his life to save your life. So if you happen to get attacked and murdered in front of the police and it looks like they might get hurt too, you're on your own. You get no help at all. And if Darren Albert's mother sued the police department, she would lose because the police are not responsible. So if they're not responsible for your safety and you are, how then do you exercise that responsibility without the means to be able to do so? We need to have this law in place. Statistics have shown, number one, 48 states already have this law in place. 40 of those states have adopted these laws since 1987. This being 2012, that means we have 24 years and now 48 states worth of history to know what will happen when a concealed carry law goes in place. You do not get any of the things that the doom and gloom anti-gun nuts predict. The streets don't start running with blood. People don't start shooting each other with parking spots, etc., etc. The crime rate, on average, the violent crime rate goes down by 20 to 25% because now the criminals don't know who to mess with. Now the little old lady or the fat guy on the walker or the little teenage mother with a bag of groceries under one arm and a baby under the other arm, now all of a sudden aren't such juicy victims anymore because they don't know who's packing and who's not. Statistics have shown that in states that have concealed carry laws, which is 48 out of 50, that on average less than 10% of the people in that state apply for a carry permit. Less than 5% of the people in that state who have those permits carry on an occasional basis, and only about 3% of the people in the state carry on a daily basis. That's 3 out of 100 who would actually be carrying a gun, but because the criminals don't know which 3 they are, they have a tendency to slow down. The violent crime goes down, property crimes may go up, but violent crime tends to go down because now the criminals are afraid of the people, which is the way it ought to be. They ought to be afraid of us. We should not be afraid of them. And so, again, we're asking everyone to call their state senator and their state representative, ask them to support House Bill 148. Right now, Illinois has 102 counties. Of those 102 counties, 65% of the entire state's population lives inside of Cook County. That only leaves 35% of the entire state's population to be scattered among the other 101 counties. And the result of this has allowed Cook County and Chicago to just bully their way through the rest of the state and impose these laws on the rest of the state. Everybody else wants this, but they keep claiming that Chicago doesn't want this. This is a downstate issue. This is a white folks issue. This is not a white and black issue. This is a life and death issue. When seconds count, the police are only minutes away. All right? And Again, even if they happen to be there at the moment you are attacked, if they don't feel like it, if they feel like it may endanger them, they're under no obligation to help you. So you are on your own, and if you cannot defend yourself, then you're at the mercy of whoever decides to attack you, and you are going to be forced to submit to whatever they feel like doing to you, no matter what it is, up and including killing you. So, again, we are urging people to call your state senators and representatives. Again, the number for the Board of Election Commissioners is 312-269-7900. Call them, tell them you want to contact your state senator and representative, and that you will want to urge them to support House Bill 148. Until we put enough pressure on the black state senators and representatives, this is not going to pass. They are the ones who are primarily responsible for holding this up, claiming that this is a white folks issue and that black people in Chicago are not concerned about protecting ourselves. All right? So we need to show them that they are wrong. We need to show them that their job is to go to Springfield to represent us, not to represent someone else. Their job is to represent the interests of the constituents who sent them there. And that we deserve the right to defend ourselves and be able to protect ourselves like anyone else. In Illinois right now, it is a felony if you get caught carrying a gun illegally. If you get charged with that, if you get convicted of a felony, there are 57 different jobs you cannot get in the state of Illinois with a felony conviction. If you have a professional license, if you're a beautician, if you're an accountant, if you're a naturopath, if you're a doctor, if you're a nurse, if you're a respiratory therapist, if you're a security guard, all of these jobs require a license from the Department of Professional Regulations that you would lose in the event you had a felony conviction. And so right now, your choices as a resident in the state of Illinois are to go unarmed and be a potential victim to any and every criminal in the state, or to go illegally armed and take a chance on getting a felony conviction. Why should you have to be forced to choose between being a potential victim or potential criminal just because you don't want to get your head bashed in? This is completely unfair. Women, the elderly, and the handicapped are the three highest categories of crime victims in this state. Gangbangers getting shot makes good sensational headlines on TV, but that does not account for the majority of crime that takes place. The majority of crime that takes place is against the elderly, women, and the handicapped. Those who are least able, least capable of defending themselves. And they need to have this law in place. No one has to do this. If the sheeple want to be sheeple, let them be sheeple. If they want to depend on hope and prayer to keep them alive, let them depend on hope and prayer. You know, I was taught that God helps those who help themselves, but if those want to limit, their activity to hope and prayer, they are free to do that. But for those who choose to take the personal responsibility to ensure their own individual safety and security, they should have the legal option to be able to do that. So again, I'm asking everyone, please contact your state senators, representatives, and call the Board of Election Commissioners at 312-269-7900. Find out who your state senator representative is. Call their office, fax them, email them, bug them out. Let them know that we want this law in place and that we are tired of being available victims to any criminal in town. Thank you very much.